The Milwaukee Brewers have made a surprise signing after today's game and finish of the series against the Blue Jays. We're going to be breaking that down as well as going over Brandon Woodruff's start today with what Pat Murphy and the rest of this team has in store for the remainder of the season. We have some very interesting stuff to go over, as well as Jackson Chourio continuing to stay hot after returning from the IL. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to break down here today, and I don't want to waste any time, and we got to get straight into it. Before we do, very quickly though, be sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already. We're so close to 1K, and your sport's been phenomenal. If you're looking for your Brewers news, right here is the spot. Be sure to hit the sub button. But we need to jump straight into this, because as I mentioned, heading into this game and heading into what is going to be a few more days, well, one more day until we get a very much deserved day off, the Brewers ultimately lost this game, but not without a very surprising move to come after the game. And I want to touch on this first when we do jump into it, because as we look at what happened in this game, there was one instance where we saw a pretty bad error. Charged to Andrew Vaughn, but not due to Andrew Vaughn whatsoever, with what would have been a double play, which could have held the game down to a reasonable score to make the Brewers win. And I don't want to say this is a direct response to this. However, a move was made, and one that we are not really complaining about here. This comes from Hunter Baumgart. Luis Urias is back with the Brewers organization, and he signed a new minor league deal with the club and will join the Nashville Sound tomorrow. Now, keep in mind as well, tomorrow does open up the extra slot for a position player and for another pitcher. Now, whether Luis Urias will be part of that or be part of that later on, I know there are some rules regarding once a player is signed, where they go, they have to wait a certain amount of time, something along the lines of that. So I'm not exactly sure if Luis Urias is available right now. If you do know, let me know in the comments, but this could be a very interesting look before he does make his return to the MLB, with if he does join the Nashville Sound for a bit and ultimately get back to a little bit of a stretch where the Brewers could certainly bring him up. Because looking at this move, and of course taking a look at the error that we did see today, this was one where, it was just quite a bit of mistake, miscommunication there. Nothing that will happen regularly, and nothing that really will be a regular occurrence. But having Andrew Monasterio here as well, and Joey Ortiz being out, changing up the things a little bit, this may have been avoided, and certainly can be avoided in the future. Now, take a look at Luis Urias, where he does provide this kind of help, is he can play anywhere on the infield, and just kind of another asset to be able to bring in and help out in this lineup, where we're heading towards the postseason. We know that injuries are a very prevalent issue with this team right now, and heading into the postseason, heading into the month of September, you want to be able to have whatever you can to help and avoid instances like this. So whether or not this was something talked about, and because of this, there was a 100% chance that they were talking to Luis Urias before this and going into it. Of course, this didn't happen at the snap of the fingers, but this, I think, really made the Brewers pull the trigger on this move to make sure to go and get him. Now, looking at his hitting stats over the past few seasons, this year playing 96 games with the Athletics, 230, not really bad when you're comparing that to his past couple seasons, and having one of the better years of those years and continuing, even though the OPS is 650, not the greatest, but certainly not the worst. He will provide much more help on defense than on offense, but is once again another perfectly fine option to have at the plate, especially with the way the Brewers have been swinging the bats as of late, and being able to really overpressure any starting pitcher that came up today, and even going against Max Scherzer, a player who we know, a legend in the game, and ultimately coming into it, they really got off to a hot start with him early in this game, but really couldn't just get it closed out towards the end. But this move is a very interesting one when it does come down to it. I want to know what you guys think about it as well, and how this kind of really impacts the way the Brewers are taking a look at things going forward. But I think it's a fair instance to say that this caused quite a bit of stir to make this move in the Brewers organization. But heading into this game, I want to touch on this before we do jump in to what the plan is going ahead to tomorrow and the Philly series, and also just the month of September. But heading into this game, ultimately, it was one where the Brewers, they played their game, couldn't get it done. A tough start from Brandon Woodruff, ultimately. Not the greatest one, not the worst one either, though. We did see some pretty good pitches from him, some good stuff, but ultimately, I think this Blue Jays team was dying for a win, and ultimately, we did see that here in this game. We knew that this team is a very tough one to play against. They had their guys hitting today, and they had some hitters playing well, and ultimately, comes down to it, you're going to lose a game here and there, and going against the Blue Jays, the best team in the AL, and what many are calling a World Series matchup, this is, I think, just a perfect example of how things like this really do play out. But you look at the Brewers, 2 in the first, 2 in the third, and, ending it up with that but the Blue Jays going 3-1, and then another 1-3 later on here in this game, and going towards the players of the game, the top performers. Having two Brewers players in here with George Springer, of course, perfectly fine. You know, you see an 8-4 loss. You see William Contreras there with a home run, 3 RBIs. Jackson Chourio 4 for 5 with 2 doubles. Safe to say that this Brewers team did not miss a beat here in this game, but just couldn't get it done. And, you know, I'm not going to, once again, not going to do a save because of the pitching, but Brandon Woodruff, not the greatest day. 3 Ks, 2 walks, 5 earned runs with 8, and ultimately having that error causing a few unearned runs, but 10 hits against and 4 1/3. Not the greatest, but was not bad at the end of the day when you have your offense also going, even though these are games you do want to win. Now, heading over to the hitting as well here today. Once again, Jackson Chourio, very, very good game from him. William Contreras, a very good game from him. Andrew Monasterio, 2 hits. And, you know, going up and down this lineup, being able to see that and see the consistency that these players are having up against a guy like Max Scherzer and then continuing into a better part of the Blue Jays bullpen today and seeing those guys come in here and be able to actually shut it down. After what happened the past few games, you knew that wasn't going to happen again. So I think the Blue Jays came into this game knowing that they could not lose, and that's what happened. Now, when we do take a look at this series as a whole, today wasn't the greatest game for the Brewers on the mound, but certainly wasn't a bad one hitting. But when you're taking a look at how this series, a 2-1 series win, this is a very good one. Considering that against the Cubs, they also dropped a game today to the Colorado Rockies, which is a very, very tough loss for them after having an opportunity to gain a game on the Brewers. Very, very good for us. Thank you to Colorado for winning this game here as well. Saves us here. They couldn't steal that extra game. But now heading into this month when we're seeing the Phillies series starting tomorrow, a much-needed day off on Tuesday after playing 19 games in 18 days. Back on then for another, finishing out the Phillies series, the Pirates, then the Rangers. It's not a bad month for this team. Obviously, there are a few games here that are going to be some challenges, and there's no easy game in the MLB, but if this team keeps on competing the way they have, especially against some of these teams here, they're going to be in a very good shape heading towards the end of September. So, I just want to say, let me know what you think in the comments below. First of all, about today's game, not the greatest, but we moved. There's obviously some things that were going to be changed ahead of next game. The roster's expansion, 1 pitcher, 1 hitter. We're going to be breaking that down tomorrow, whatever's going on there, but ultimately, this game, not a bad one whatsoever, and it's a very good opportunity for the Brewers to get some more hitting against a veteran pitcher, while the Cubs also drop a game to the Rockies. So let me know what you think about all the news that we have here today, and of course, let me know specifically what you think about the Luis Urias signing. I think it's going to be a very good one, and very, a smart decision for the Brewers to make a move just like this, but that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out, though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.